Hi creatives, I welcome you back to Style Week. This is day 5, the last day of this freestyle workshop. I really hope you've gotten so much from it so far. I really think you're gonna like today's video. Now I've touched on this quite a bit throughout this whole series, but today we're really gonna talk about the creative process. I'm actually gonna cover my 5-phase creativity system that I teach in my original Animal Artist course and monthly challenge. So you definitely want to take notes here. This is the process of getting that inner world, combining it with the outer world and those familiar practice techniques and putting on canvas or paper. And how this transformative process begins, how we transform our canvas or paper is we start with a tiny little idea, a small egg, seed of inspiration. And the example I'll use is my most recent painting using acrylics of a clouded leopard. A reference that I found when I was on Facebook. I belong to a lot of the Facebook free photo groups. I'm always scrolling through there to look for those like killer photos that I can make into paintings. So for me, that's usually where those eggs of inspiration pop up. It gives me those ideas. It reminds me and really resonates with me the lessons that I'm learning. And the current loud lesson that I've been learning right now that's given me so much hope and strength is to look beyond the problem. I believe things happen for a reason, and we can look at the opportunities, the growth that we can gain from the struggles, the hangups, the problems. I am one to dwell on these problems. It's actually not in my nature to think this optimistically. I draw a lot of my hope from my faith, and I know that there's good things that come from these problems. So this is me documenting these lessons and a constant reminder, moment by moment, to see the good in them. So I'm inspired by this reference photo. I also never painted a clouded leopard before, so that was a fun challenge I wanted to try. And so now I want to feed that idea. Where is it going to take me? And that is the exciting part. So exciting. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that I am ready to create this clouded leopard. So I don't go to my canvas yet. I don't go anywhere to my easel yet. I actually go to my sketchbook. It's in my sketchbook and sometimes my journal that I then feed this idea. This is the caterpillar phase where I'm starting to feed this egg and it hatches into this caterpillar, and we gotta feed this thing. It's hungry. So I write and or draw or color how I'm feeling, thinking, what's going on in my life at that point in time, what I'm seeing over and over again, the lessons I'm learning. And that's exactly what I did. I fed this idea, I nurtured it in my sketchbook. Sometimes this can take days, sometimes this can take like 5 or 6 spreads, sometimes just one. It really depends. And sometimes the final painting looks nothing like what I put in my sketchbook. And then other times it's exact. But I don't rush this process. I put no deadline on it. I am keeping it low stakes. Like a child, I just want to play. I want to explore. If and when I need more direction and inspiration, I go outside. I go on a treasure hunt, or I take photos, or I go and gather more reference photos and put that in my sketchbook. I also get a lot of inspiration from prayer. That's something I do before every painting. I watch movies, I listen to music, explore new places. This is gonna feed that idea like so much. Now I don't give it too much time where I just let that idea pass on by, but I also give it just enough time where I stay excited and creative. So in the phase 3, this is the chrysalis phase. This is where I am now combining my inner world with what I know about technique and what I know about the principles and elements of art. Now this is where I'm sitting at my easel and I'm drawing out the design. I work with what I know. I draw out what I know I'm gonna paint, and then I let other things come in and I add those things in along the way. Now guess what? I attempted this painting twice. The final is the second attempt. So I took the lessons I learned from painting number 1 into the second one. I let those mistakes help me solve the problems that I was trying to solve. I let them guide me. So from my sketchbook preparation and from the first attempt, I knew I wanted to have a close-up view of the clouded leopard with not as much arm showing. I knew I wanted butterflies, possibly ladybugs. I knew I wanted to explore pinks, violets, and yellows, a color scheme that I haven't tried before. I also knew the reoccurring emotion that I like to express in my art, which is strength and courage. This is why I like to use wild cats to do this. I always think of them as being fierce, strong, and brave. This is because it's connected to my message. It takes courage to be honest. It takes strength to be open and vulnerable. But doing this can not only help set us free, but invite others to do the same. Now, what I didn't know about this painting that I was leaving up to that creative process and exploration was the type of butterfly I was going to paint. Was it going to be something I make up, the design in those wings, or was it something that I was going to take from nature? How many butterflies? How much of the cherry blossoms were going to fill that negative space? I just kept going back to familiar techniques, testing things out, testing over and over and over again, and working with what I knew. I let the problems guide me and show me which doors to open and which doors to close in my art. And after working this butterfly and testing things out, that's what led me to the yellow butterfly. Not only to draw out and contrast those beautiful violets, but also to emphasize hope and growth. This is actually called the tiger swallowtail butterfly. And my thought process here is by placing it close to the focal point, which are the eyes in this painting, that I'm emphasizing the importance of keeping those opportunities and the good things before us, while putting the past and the problems behind us, not fixing our eyes on those things. So that's why I have that delicate, light little butterfly resting on the clouded leopard's ear and not even being fazed by it. Now, I definitely don't like a lot of clutter, but I don't like a lot of negative space in my art either. And so I like to add a lot of little flowers, foliage, little things that cause the viewer to look in and draw them in closer so they can get a better look. And so I wanted to have this really happy balance between the beautiful violet background and those pink, light pink cherry blossoms. The wonderful thing too about adding these natural things to the background and foreground is it causes variety of shape. It adds more interest in color. And a more recent repeatable aspect that I discovered when I was working on a Maine Coon commission, one that I created a theme being a fairy princess garden, and I fell in love with that magic of this piece. And so I took what I learned from that painting into this one with those tiny little glowing puffs of light, something that I used along with the butterflies to create movement in my work and this sense of energy and liveliness. Along with that, to add even more cheer, I'll go in towards the middle and the end with line after line of these pastel colors, kind of like rainbow colors, that just a technique that just visually brings me so much joy, and the process that I love too. So let's just step back for a moment and just cover the principles and elements that I'm adding just to this one piece. We're talking about color, we're talking about variety, we're talking about movement, repetition, shape, form, contrast. These are the things that I used to create and express that message. So you really want to take notes here, because what you want is each drawing or painting, your creations, to tell a different story. Okay, so in this case, I'm expressing the lesson I'm learning about looking beyond the problem, but the recurring theme and message should repeat throughout your entire body of work. So in my case, that's the message of healing starting from the inside out. So if you really want to dig deeper into this, to make sense of it in your own art, how to connect animal emotion with human emotion, how to express your story and the ugly phase, how and what the principles of elements are and how to use them in your art, this is what I talk about in my original Animal Artist course and monthly challenge. which, guys, I'm closing registration tomorrow at midnight. After that, I'm going to put a waiting list in place, and I don't know when I'll open it next. So that's January 2nd of 2025, guys. If you want this to be that year that you unlock your style and create your best, most authentic originals, I have a link to my Original Animal Artist Course Monthly Challenge down below. So that leads me to phase 4 of my creativity system, and that's the Metamorphosis phase. This is where I've cracked the code, where I have all the parts in place. I know that I don't need to add any more or take any more out. I'm no longer exploring. I'm no longer testing things out. I'm refining. I'm fine-tuning. I'm adding more layers. I'm cleaning things up and slowly but surely pulling it out of that for endless, long-lasting, ugly phase. Because don't we know that that ugly phase feels like it lasts forever? But there is an end to it, and that's where we're almost there. We're almost at the end, and this can sometimes be tricky, depending on what we're creating, how long we've been working on it, how exhausted we are, our mental state. We might not know when it's done. I'll give you a super helpful tip though. So once I've cracked the code, once I have all the parts in its place, I step away from the painting. I don't work on it. My rule of thumb is a minimum of a day. So I'll sleep on it, I'll get fresh new eyes, a fresh new outlook on what I just created. Plus, I'm also not testing things out and fixating on the details and only honing in on certain parts of the painting at that point. That's when I can more efficiently approach the painting and see exactly what it needs. The best time for me is first thing in the morning. I am a crazy morning person. 4 a.m., 5 a.m. is like the best time for me before the kids and the husband wakes up. But for you, that might look different. And also, remember, you have to like it. Better yet, love it, but you have to at least like it because you're the one who decides when it's done. Now, can you guess what phase 5 is? That is our beautiful butterfly. We have transformed that canvas. We have done our job expressing our mind, our body, our spirit. Now it's time to set it free. And the outcome of your creation, who buys it, who doesn't buy it, who it impacts, that's not up to you. It's just your job to pull everything out at its time and create from that, and then get it out, set it free, and fix your eyes on the next creation. Now, to no surprise, I called this Look Beyond the Problems. I did not and will not turn this into prints for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I have the original listing on my website in a link down below. Along with, guys, like I said, I'm closing enrollment tomorrow at midnight. That's January 2nd to my Original Animal Artists Course Monthly Challenge. But hopefully this workshop has given you so much hope and so much more clarity on your style and your next steps in your art. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below, guys. But I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye.